Hey, no matter what it is you're going through, no matter what it is you're dealing with, we all need someplace to go. By that, I mean that special place that only we know about, that special place that we can always count on. Let me put it this way. You've got to find your Wrestlemania. It's going to make sense, and it's going to be a game changer. Let's start the meeting.
Whatever you're going through, you will get through it because you're here, and that means you are not alone. This is the Meaningful Meeting. Now your host, Ace Cannon.
Hey, no matter how hard you fight, no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you try, we all have moments where it just becomes a little bit too much. We have days where life seems to get away from you. You just feel overwhelmed. That is especially true when it comes to dealing like things with grief and divorce and loss and trying to overcome or start over in life, no matter what your age is. And today we're going to talk about how to handle those situations because you have got to find your Wrestlemania. This is something I was reminded of this week, and it was something I needed to be reminded of this week. Look, I tell you the same thing every week when we get started with the Meaningful Meeting. We're here because we're all going through something. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed doctor. I'm just a guy going through a lot of stuff in life like everybody else. A lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of pain, a lot of frustration, just trying to make the days better. And quite honestly, just trying to sleep through the night a little bit more often than I do. So I'm just sharing my ideas, my thoughts with you because my hope is that you'll have something from this meaningful meeting, this one meeting each week that may count for something. Forget about all the other meetings that you have to go to at work and everything. This one meaningful meeting may give you something to carry through the week. And that's what helps me. Thinking I might be helping you do something helps me. So something happened this week that hit me like a ton of bricks. So allow me to kind of set the scene for you. I wasn't exactly having the best of days. I had a couple of days in a row that weren't the best of days. Too many things on my plate. You ever had that feeling like you're running in quicksand, just spinning your wheels? You're doing a lot of work. You're putting forth a lot of effort. You're expending a lot of energy, but you're really not making any headway. You're not getting anywhere. You're not going places. You're not achieving things. You're not checking things off the list. You're doing a lot, but you're accomplishing very little. And that can lead to a lot of frustration. So during the course of this day, I just was like, ended up sitting around just taking a break from everything, scrolling through social media, just, doing whatever, wasting some time. And after a few minutes, I was looking at TikToks and something hit me. And again, I mentioned a minute ago, it hit me like a ton of bricks, right in the face. A TikTok popped up as I scrolled through because, the algorithm gives you things you're interested in or things you watch a lot of. And I am an unabashed professional wrestling fan. A little bit more old school than the current school, but I kind of try to keep up or keep an eye on what's happening. A lot of it's kind of escaped me. But I am an unadulterated, unafraid, unashamed, old school wrestling fan and have been my entire life. And I don't care who knows it. And there they are, as I'm scrolling through TikTok, having, my second or third day in a row of it just not being the greatest day. Full of frustration and aggravation and just upset with myself and upset with life in general. And there they are. They talk about the Mount Rushmore of whatever sport you're in, the Mount Rushmore of whatever activity. Well, these were 3 of the 4 that would go on the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock. Now, I get it. You're not a wrestling fan. Fine. You don't have to be. Follow me on the story, though. Because I know this sounds crazy, but I'm taking you somewhere. You have your own Wrestlemania. I'll explain it to you in a second. So there they are. It's WrestleMania 30. They're in the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. There are over 75,000 people there. I don't remember the exact numbers, like 77,000, something or other, whatever. And 2 of the over 75,000 in attendance were your humble host, me, and my then 6th grade son, Cade. We had gone in on a Friday. We had a great weekend. Let him skip school on Monday because WrestleMania 30 was his Christmas gift. He loves Louisiana, me being from Louisiana. We had flown in on a Friday. We had surprised a buddy of mine at work and hung out for a little while. And then we'd gone down to New Orleans and we'd spent all day Saturday at WrestleMania Access. And we spent Sunday. We had a great lunch and just a really exciting weekend that couldn't have gone better. That culminated with WrestleMania 30. And he was jacked. And honestly, I was very excited also. I've been to a lot of wrestling matches in my life, but this is something different. This is WrestleMania. 77,000 plus people inside the Superdome, millions watching around the world. It was pretty exciting stuff. So allow me to set the scene for you. We are about to start WrestleMania 30. And all of this is kind of encompassed in what you're going to hear in this TikTok that I'm going to play for you. And here's what we knew of what you're about to hear. The host of WrestleMania 30, stay with me with this story, we're going somewhere. The host was none other than the immortal Hulk Hogan. Okay? So you know that much. What we didn't know was everything else that was about to happen in the next couple of minutes.
For the better part of 4 decades.
This was the launch of WrestleMania 30 on TV.
Magnificence.
The immortal Hulk Hogan.
So Hulk Hogan comes out, crowd goes crazy, all right? It's just him coming out now. Then he makes a mistake here. And he calls it the Silverdome.
Welcome everyone here at the Silverdome to WrestleMania 30.
The Silverdome is in Pontiac, Michigan, by the way, where WrestleMania 3 was. We're in the Superdome in New Orleans, but that's okay.
He's back in WrestleMania 3.
I'm sorry, it is the Superdome, brothers.
So Hulk's in the ring, 77,000.
And you never know.
And then what happens?
When one of those special moments.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You heard the crowd. That's called a crowd pop. People go crazy. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can tell by the look on my face right now that I get emotional about this. I'm getting to it. I think you can hear, if you're just listening to the podcast, the excitement in my voice over what transpired on this day because, well, what a great surprise, but we weren't done yet.
Back here at the Silverdome.
And then it happens.
The Mount Rushmore of sports entertainment has come to life at WrestleMania 30.
So in the ring, you've got the immortal Hulk Hogan, you've got Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then The Rock. Never before had all three of these people been in the ring together. None of this matters, but here's the point. Here's the reason I've told you this story. Because in that moment, with those 77,000 people, Cade was seated to my right. And this is so silly. I get it. It's silly, but that's okay. That's part of what we're going to get to today. And, you know, when Stone Cold came out, everybody jumped up like, this is so exciting. And we had good seats. We didn't have great seats. Very pleased with them. And then when The Rock hit, the place just exploded. And I remember, Cade's in the 6th grade. I grabbed him by the sleeve because he was to my right. I grabbed him by the sleeve. And I remember saying the words, "Oh shit, it's The Rock." And Cade's just screaming, I know. And everybody's just high-fiving people and everybody's going crazy. And we could have gone home right then and I would have been thrilled. It was that awesome of a moment. But we're not even getting to the best. We're getting to the best part. We'd had this amazing weekend already. Just me and my son. We had a great time. And yes, this is professional wrestling we're talking about. But it was more about, what he and I shared in that weekend. So why would I tell you this story? Because we still had an entire WrestleMania, 3.5 hours of great stuff. And it was the first time The Undertaker ever lost at WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar. And Daniel Bryan won the World Championship. So many cool things happened. And we really had a great, great night. And here is the lesson and the reason I say you got to find your WrestleMania. Here's why I've asked you to stay with this story, because this is the most important part. It has nothing to do with wrestling at all. It's all over. We've had just an unbelievable time. It couldn't have gone better. And we're walking out. And as we're headed out of the building, we're just walking along, and people are talking and they're laughing, they're shouting and they're high-fiving and just having a great time. And I kind of glance over and Cade is just walking along and he looks kind of around at the Superdome as we're walking outside into the night. And he just says, greatest day of my life. Talking to no one in particular. He doesn't turn to me and go, hey, Dad, that was great. Greatest night of my life. He just says it like in that moment. He just had to put it out there. Out of nowhere. Greatest day of my life. That's why I tell you this story. And that's why I say you got to find your WrestleMania. Because it wasn't about the fact that at that time I had the money to do something like that. It wasn't about where our seats were. It wasn't about the things we went and did. It was all about the fact that I, as his father, had created that moment for him. This is not a story about wrestling. I don't literally mean you got to find your WrestleMania. This is a story about being proud and being happy. So on a not so great day, many years later, when I was feeling down on myself and feeling as if I was doing nothing more than spinning my wheels and not accomplishing anything, I stumbled across that memory on TikTok. And that made me smile. It made me smile because I know no matter what happens to me, no matter how I feel, I can always see that moment. I can always remember that moment. I can go to YouTube and watch a clip, or I can put it up on a DVD, or I can watch that on TikTok, and that fast, I feel better. You know why? Because it makes me, I'm proud of myself. In that moment, I knew, man, I did a good thing that day. Greatest day of my life. It's just me and him. And you can't beat that. Yeah, it's silly. And it's ridiculous, but it really makes me proud. Proud of myself that we will always have that moment. Proud of myself that I did something that made him that happy. And yes, he thanked me profusely. He was very appreciative. He's a kind, wonderful soul to this very day. He always has been. But nothing will compare to that moment when he really didn't know that I was listening, because he's just saying it. He didn't get my attention. He didn't say it really loud where everybody could hear. I just happened to catch it. Greatest day of my life. What more could a father ask for? What more could a parent ask for? 5 words. Greatest day of my life. Said to no one in particular. He was in the 6th grade. He'll be 21 in September. And that's how important that day is to me. Still to this day. I can always go to that moment and be happy. I can always go to that moment and be proud. I can always go to that moment and it makes me feel better. And immediately I sent him that TikTok when I saw it. And I said, we were there. And he responded right away. Yes, we were still awesome. He still loves that trip, that night, that moment. We've laughed about it 1,000 times since then. How silly it is. He still loves it. He'll never forget it. I still love it. I'll never forget it. So that's the question. What is your Wrestlemania? What's your moment? What's your memory? What's the one that makes you proud, that makes you smile, the one that picks you up? I know you have one. It could be driven by a song, by a TikTok, by a TV show, just a picture, a shirt, a car. It doesn't have to cost money. It doesn't have to be extreme. No one else has to even know about it. It's yours. And it will never fail you. It will never fail you. Keep it. Cherish it. Go back to it as often as you need to, because that will change your day. It does it for me all the time. Maybe you've got more than one. I've got more than one. This is just the one that popped up last week when I needed it most, as if by divine intervention. Trust it, relish it, let it work its magic on you, and let it make your day better. Find your Wrestlemania. It's going to change everything. And then one day, when you've experienced that, and you're feeling better, remember, the reason that we're here every week for the Meaningful Meeting is because one day you will tell your story of how you've overcome what you're going through now. And it will become part of someone else's survival guide. That's why I shared my Wrestlemania moment with you today, in the hope that you'll find your Wrestlemania. It'll make your day better, and your week better, and your life better.
Now, whatever you're going through, you're not alone. You are a part of the Meaningful Meeting, presented by the Radio Network. Copyright ATJ Inc. 2022.